If you've been on my channel for any amount of time at this point, you know that I'm a huge advocate for subtractive EQ rather than boosting frequencies all over the place. One of the best tips I can give you is using subtractive EQ to cut your low mids. Your low mids have so much information going on because literally everything has low mids in it. Not everything is going to have super high top end or sub lows in it, but everything is going to have some low mids in it. And managing that is where you get real clarity in your mix. So one of the ways I manage low mids is by sweeping an EQ around. If I can't tell exactly where a frequency issue is happening, if a certain note is jumping out, if the snare drum is ringing out kind of funny on some frequency, things like that, I'll boost a frequency really tight and then really over exaggerate it so that it rings out, and then I'll drop that frequency that way. If the issue isn't so much of certain frequencies sounding funny, ringing, things like that, if the issue is more in clarity, I will use a low shelf or a really wide Q and just subtly cut the low mids across the things that seem to be muddy or sound like they have a pillow over them, things like that. And that is going to give you such a clearer mix just by doing that, rather than going in and boosting a bunch of top end and boosting high mids, all that stuff. By just cutting your low mids, you're going to totally transform your mix. So let's jump over here and see what that sounds like. All right, so let's take a listen to this mix and see how we can clean up the low mids. So my EQs are off right now.
It's coming on the clouds, kings and kingdoms will bow down. Every chain will break, his broken hearts declare his praise.
So of course the first thing that stands out really bad is the vocal being really muddy. It's an okay performance, and I've got some reverb on it just for taste and all that, but as far as the tone of it, it's really muddy. So that is definitely the first thing, and the way I deal with that is I like to drop this low shelf here and just slowly creep it up until it clears up in the way that I want. So let's turn that on and take a listen.
It's coming on the clouds, kings and kingdoms will bow down. Every chain will break, his broken hearts declare his.
So the reason I do it that way, I use a low shelf so that I'm evenly cutting both notes and tone, all that, where I'm not going to be pulling out specific things out of the vocal. That's just kind of how I like to do it, so that I get more of an even, response or whatever. So past that, I think that the bass and keyboard needed some work. So I've got some cuts going on here, just some subtle cuts around 200 probably, maybe a little lower, more like 150, 175 on the bass. First, I will start this again, turn those on, and then exaggerate them so you can hear what I think are some problem areas.
It's coming on the clouds,
So on,
kings and kingdoms will
let's boost this up and see. Oops.
every chain will break, his broken hearts declare his praise. For who can stop the Lord Almighty? Our God is the Lion of Judah, is roaring with power, and fighting our battles, and every knee will bow.
So on both of these, what I feel like doing that does, cutting those low mids on the bass emphasizes the low end, and cutting those low mids on the keys makes them sound bigger to me because it emphasizes the upper mids. So that's my thought process on those. They both felt like there was just a little bit of a pillow out in front of them, and so they weren't as clear or as punchy as they needed to be. So those are the frequencies that I feel like are sticking out the most. So let's do a quick A/B with and without these EQs.
It's coming on the clouds, kings and kingdoms will bow down.
So you can see that doing just some simple cuts in the low mids can add a lot of clarity to this mix. And this is obviously a really sparse mix. There's only, drums, bass, electric, and keys, and that's it. So this is pretty simple to work with, but you can see that even with that, you can have a pretty big impact on just doing some simple EQ moves. So I hope this is helpful. Hit the link for the free reverb cheat sheet. Like, comment, subscribe, do all the YouTube stuff, and I will see you guys in the next one.